read a little excerpt from my story, which is called Old Money. And as we were talking earlier, it's set in Forbes Park, and I just want to contextualize it a little bit before reading this excerpt. The narrator is a young balikbayan named Nick, and he's been summoned. He comes from the poor side of the family, and he's been summoned by his wealthy aunt back to Manila because his father is dying, and he's estranged from his father. And so she kind of guilt trips him into, you better get back here and be with him, you know, because he's close to the end. And Nick is very conflicted about coming back to Manila because he's in flux in his own life, and he's been in rehab, he's a former drug addict, he's lost his job, all he does is surf, he's living in Long Beach, California, and he feels like the rich side of the family looks down on him. So his cousin Louis, who is his Tita Moning's son, and Louis is like, you know, the spoiled brat, meets him at the airport. So this is Nick's voice I'm reading in, and this is the section from the very beginning of the story, and it's called Mabuhay.
Okay.
My cousin Louis met me at the airport the night I arrived. All smiles and hugs, scrutinizing me furtively from head to toe. My no-brand jeans and plain black t-shirt, undoubtedly a huge disappointment. We used to be close as kids. But when my mom left my pop and whisked me off to the States without warning, Louis and I lost touch. I was keeping up with him on Facebook, though. Louis called himself a men's fashion blogger and had quite a following, though his blog was nothing more than snapshots of stoned guys in clubs flaunting the latest hipster gear. Last time I checked, Louis had 5,151 Facebook friends. I was one of them. The car was a brand new Lexus, the driver a solemn man named Fausto. He addressed me as Sir and Louis as Señorito. Instead of having Fausto take us straight to my aunt's house like he was supposed to, Señorito Louis ordered him to make a detour to the fort. Wait until you see how Fort Bonifacio's changed, Louis gushed. Talagang galing. Then he asked, you still understand Tagalog, Nick? Well, my Tagalog sucks, but I get the gist. Up ahead was a glitzy fortress that took up the entire block, pulsing with lights. Louis ordered Fausto to drop us off and find somewhere to park. And don't forget to keep your phone on, Louis said in English. Fausto nodded. Oo po, señorito. It was already past midnight. Won't your mom be pissed off at us? I remember asking Louis. She'll blame Fausto, Louis said. Maybe even fire him.
Terrific.
Wonderful.
Okay.
I love it. I'm going to grab a copy of it.
For the start of the story. Of course, what keeps us in kind of keening for is when does the crime happen and what will the crime be?
I personally am obsessed with crime.
Are you really?
I love watching forensic documentaries.
There you
TV
go.
Programs that have to do with crime. I am picking up a copy of that book as soon as we leave.
The crime happens soon after. You know, Nick finds himself out of his element, and they go to this club at the fort, and they meet this very seductive and very glamorous couple.
Foreign?
No, they're not foreign. He's from an
Filipino.
old family in
Okay.
Forbes
Okay.
Park, the
see.
drug dealer.
Yeah, okay.
And his girlfriend, who's this statuesque beauty, is a model type.
I think I know them, yeah.
I'm sure you do. There are many of them here. And Nick, you know, sort of falls under their spell, you know, because they are like this beautiful sort of couple, very charming, and he gets in deep. And, of course, his rehab thing, he's supposed to be sober. So it deals with a lot of issues and themes, and I think class
Yeah.
and old money becomes well, you know.
So interesting.
Is it resolved in the end, or
No, I never resolve
so it's a
anything in my
hanging
work.
ending or
It's
something?
Hagedornian, Crip.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
no
yeah.
resolution.
Okay.
Yeah.
Almost like, sounds like Kierkegaardian.
Well, noir is
Hagedornian,
very,
yeah.
you know, noir is kind
Open-ended,
of, you know, the ambiguous ending.
Yes.
It's not
yeah.
the happy formula ending. Nothing is resolved. Is part of our existential
That's
sort of.
right. With saxophone music in the background.
It's kind of like, well, I hope she comes back, you know, that kind of thing. And if you love crime fiction, I think it's sort of the best of it, you know, because noir doesn't try to please.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's really exploring the dark side, right,
Yeah.
of the psyche and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah,
And
and-
that is why I think the locale or the city, the setting
Important.
is very important.
And it has to be urban.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, nga, no?
Has to be urban.
Noir is
Why?
about
If
urban.
it's provincial noir, it's ano na, mga nananggal
Gothic
na,
na
ganyan.
yun.
Gothic na.
different.
Interesting.
Because it's
Aswang
about
na.
the city closing in on you and kind of, it can be any kind of city. It can be small city, but it's urban.
Oh, but you know, today, yesterday, Monday, our buddy Butch DeLisa had a wonderful column on fantasy, on writing fantasy, and he did posit that it would be more interesting when you write a fantasy tale to deal with the familiar first, and you know make the action spring from that familiarity with the circumstances.
And then go out into
And
the
then go
fantasy,
out,
yes.
yeah. Like he says, if you situate your setting, you know, if you situate the Gothic features in the province, then yeah, you're already beholden to the Manananggals and the Aswangs. But if your scene happened in a bank, you know, inside a
And
bank,
then the Manananggal happened to be the
exactly.
cashier.
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Then
Well,
it becomes irreal, he says. So.
I agree,
yeah.
because that's why the graphic story by Budget
Oh,
and
yes, we
Kajo
should
works,
mention that.
because
We-
it has
forgot.
Aswangs, it has all that, but it's urban, and they are dealing with supernatural and underworld reality here in Manila, and it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Let me try to show our viewers what makes this book also, I think,
Unique,
more
yeah.
unique and interesting than the rest of the Akashic Press is that it has a feature, you know, a graphic story, Trece, by Budget Tan and his illustrator who
Kajo
is
Baldissimo.
Kajo Baldissimo. Yeah, you see, comics.
Yeah,
Comics.
it's beautiful art too.
The visuals just knock. You know, the people at Akashic, when I showed them their work,
Yeah, must have
Blown
blown
away.
Yeah.
no, look how
It's
elegant.
long. It's long. Yeah,
It
yeah.
is
So
it's long.
elegant, yeah.
It's an
Very
actual,
simple, but
like a
very
graphic
detailed.
novel. Yeah.
That
Kaya lang-
reminds me of manga.
Oh, ang liit lang ng
Yes, and
Evas much,
she's
huh?
the female detective from a long line of detectives. I love that it was a female, you know, heroine running around solving these strange crimes. Strange
See,
crimes.
that's one more feature that's positive about this book, Manila Noir. Get yourselves copies, you know, from all national bookstore branches, so that my nanay will be very happy.
Who is your
Karina's
nana?
nanay,
Yeah, who is your nanay?
the Philippine Star's nanay, Socorro Ramos, yeah, our nanay. Jessica, the other Jessica, Jessica Safra's nanay.
Wow, wonderful.
Nanay Socorro Ramos. In any case, yeah, this is Manila Noir. But, okay, Jessica has also been, as we mentioned earlier, associated with many other literary hits, as you might call it. Yeah. There was
Right.
Dog Eaters, after which she wrote Dream Jungle.
Dream Jungle, yeah.
Dream Jungle, yeah.
The
which
Gangster
was-
of Love.
Yes, The Gangster of Love, and other anthologies, like the Charlie Chan is Dead, 1 and 2, right?
Yes,
Yeah, 1 and 2.
but I had help then.
I see.
Yes,
One difference was that those
Yeah.
anthologies featured literature from Asian Americans,
Yes,
right?
yes.
It's the first time you've anthologized Filipino
Right.
Filipino fiction
Right.
collection. Okay.
Yes.
You were saying with Charlie Chan that you had.
Well, it was a huge. There were 40, as opposed
Oh.
to 14.
Yes,
So
yes.
40
14.
writers. Yeah, they said I could have, and that was published and is still being published because it's taught in schools in the U.S. by Penguin, and it's Charlie Chan is Dead, Volume 1 and 2. And there had never been an anthology of Asian American writers in the U.S., period. So again, I
That
went
was the
and
first.
pitched.
Yeah.
Yes, I said, you know, there's all these wonderful writers, who have been around, like N.V.M. Gonzalez, and, you know, who straddles, he was transnational, right? And Ben Santos, who's a pioneer, and they've been around in the U.S., and nobody sort of really is aware of them. I mean, beyond the Filipino-American audiences, of course. And I would like to pay homage to them, and also to all these young writers, you know, who are coming up and have something to say. And I think American literature was beginning, there was a boom of diversity in the 90s where the public was very receptive to writers. You know, when you say American writer, it does not necessarily mean the, you know, one kind of writer, right? Yeah. Culturally speaking.
Yes.
And they were curious and they were open, and I said to my publisher, I'd like to pitch this, and they were very excited about it because I think they knew that this was our time or something. You know, I mean, really very open to it. So I took on this giant challenge. I mean, and that was submissions, which means I had to read. I knew the writers I wanted, like NVM and Ben.
Open call. Or
there were some I selected ahead of time. You know, like Ben and NVM, I asked permission to reprint their stories, things like that. And then it was like, I want to find young folks I don't know. So I talked to people, writers I knew who were teaching at universities. I said, are there interesting young writers? And people like Maxine Hong Kingston, she was teaching at Berkeley at the time, UC Berkeley, and she was so great. She said, I have 3 that I would recommend who are ready, you know. So she sent me their work. So it was a lot of reading, but I was very up for it, and I had a long deadline, so you know, I had the luxury of time. This was tough, but I'm glad I did it because it showed me I can still do it. You know, it's kind of like you had to just, you know, know what you're doing and read it and copy, you know, look at the copy editing. And before I even turned it over to Akashic, I tried to make sure it was in as best condition as possible. And then they did another, you know, read. You know, that kind of.
But the time frame was very compressed, right? For
Super
the production.
compressed.
How long did it take from
This
start to finish?
A year.
A year.
And maybe a month. That's quick because novels are 18 months.
Yeah.
Once they've, you know, worked on it and they say, okay, this manuscript is super ready, it's 18 months. Production, line editing, I mean, it's really, really, but the new indie presses turn it around. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Any chance for a reading tour in the States when you get back to it?
We did it.
You've done it already?
I've done it.
Oh, okay.
You know, this was almost simultaneously published. And so right before I left, starting in May, was the New York launch.
Okay.
And I did a bunch of them with, what was great was we also did collaborations. It was International Crime Fiction Month in New York.
Wow.
And so I did panels and readings with crime writers from Europe and Eastern Europe. I mean, really amazing people. So I was sort of the rookie in the room and the only woman, unfortunately, on a lot of these panels. Yeah.
What about the West Coast? Have you taken it?
Well, hopefully.
Yeah,
You know, hopefully. I'd love to do one in San Francisco.
LA,
yeah.
in San Francisco.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the thing with the indie presses is they don't have the giant budgets of publishers like Penguin, you know, to send you around like that. And so it's kind of up to the different communities if they're that excited to organize it, you know, because then I'll come out, you know, because it's just, you know, they're mean and lean. It's like, you want to do that, you do it.
Tell me something, Jessica. I'm curious about it since you mentioned it. You said that you had a talk in the Ateneo. Yeah. Was it at the Ateneo? Yeah. How did you find the kids relating to you and this
They're
idea?
incredible because they teach Gangster of Love there anyway.
Yeah.
And the kids were so articulate and so prepared. And the faculty too. The writing faculty asked a lot of questions.
Danny Reyes.
And Oscar Campomanes
Campomanes.
moderated the conversation. And the kids were They were great. I have to say that was total fun. And so were the young faculty who got up and talked about their own writing and asked me questions. It was so engaging. It was a great way to get my feet wet because it was the first event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A pity nga, if you had more time.
Yes, I would have
I'm
liked
sure
to.
the UP campus would have loved
And
having you.
Santo Tomas, I would like to
Santo
go.
Tomas,
They tried to
with
do
Jing
something,
there.
but
That's
the
right.
timing was rough. Yeah.
And then the Silliman University down south in Dumaguete, they would have loved to
Well,
have
I
you.
want to come back. Karina and I are talking. Karina
Maybe
Velasco.
next May, actually.
Try
you
to do
can,
something. I'd like to
help us
do that.
in Dumaguete, for the
and
workshop.
maybe the other one or two other writers, budget permits, budget 10 and kind of if permits. Budget went to Ateneo. He participated.
Okay.
And when the kids realized who he was, because
He has so many fans. Budget, mga
They-
Comic-Con,
Yeah, I'm sure.
everyone's
they,
after his
Ow!
signature. Yeah. Budget,
he'd been sitting there waiting for us to arrive. He sat on the side, unassuming, and then, we started. And so I said, let's bring up our special guest, Budget 10. The kids went, what? He's in the room? And I'm like, wow, So I think I think other contributors should be part of it because that makes it so special. It promotes to the writers here, to these students. I think they need to know, we can all do this.
We're almost running out of time. I can't, it'll be a gross injustice to all of us and to our audience if I didn't ask you about your poetry.
Yes.
Of course.
Yes.
I'm sure you're not just stating on this, are you? Or you have some pieces that you have yet to collect together? Or?
Crip, I always feel like my foundation is the poetry. I don't write it, I don't sit there and go, I'm going to write a poem today, but I feel that my novels are my long poems. And, I start with the language always, is the impetus. So I feel like that's how I'm living out my poetry, because it takes so much, as you know, because you're a novelist as well, time,
Yes,
right? When you're working on, and I'm not like other writers who can like Zach Lindmark can write a book of poetry
can
while
shift from
working
one,
on his novel.
Yeah.
He kind of uses it like, okay, I need to take a break.
That's right. From
He
genre
can
to
do
genre,
that.
Yeah. Eric Gamalinda as well.
As
can do
well.
that, yeah,
They do
yeah.
both, and they can do it
Wow.
No.
at the same time. Kind of like, I'll take a break and I'll do this. And now I can do that when I'm working on, because I also write plays.
Okay.
So I can do the play and the novel at the same time.
Yeah, that's right.
But always my poetry. And I always start, as a matter of fact, at Ateneo, I opened with a poem.
Terrific.
From my collection, my
Yeah.
the
Might
old
as well
collection.
say it. Her first book, Jessica's first book, its very title actually foreshadows Manila Noir, because it was danger and beauty.
Yeah. Same thing over and over.
That's right.
Danger and beauty.
Sounds like your daily regimen.
Exactly.
It does.
Right?
No, it does.
No, and somebody said to me, this is not your, because I was saying, I'm a rookie in the crime fiction world, right? I feel so good to be here with the guys who've been doing this all their life. And they're like, no, all your work is noir.
Exactly.
You're just calling it
that's
that now. Your work can all be classified in that way.
I'd suggest when Jessica comes back, not if, but when she comes back, you get together with her again, Trix, and you do some video noir with, based on her poems.
Or performance.
Because, see, Trix
Yes.
has done quite a number of what to me have been impressive, video.
Are they like video pieces with the text?
with
with-
some
with the
poetry and
poetry.
with a lot of noir in it too.
Yeah.
Come to
I
think
would
of
say.
it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does them very well. Black
Well,
and
then
white.
you'll
I'd
know
love
what
to
this
send
is.
you some.
Yeah, yeah.
I would
After the show, we
love
talk
that.
about this after the
No, I'd love to
Okay,
see
yeah.
the work. That's really exciting. Yeah.
That
You
would
know
be
what
a
I'd
nice
also like to do is
collaboration.
to bring my daughters.
Yes.
Because my
next
older
time.
daughter was here when she was little. I brought her. And my younger daughter has never been here. And of course, it's very hard because she's a student and the other one works full time. And, schedules it's tough. And it's a long way. And you can't just come here and turn around and go back
Yes,
to New
yes,
York.
that's
You have to stay for a while just to get used to the, you know, time changed. So it's a commitment, and it's a tough one, but that's important to me, you know. So I hope there's a way to do that, for them to meet the artists here. You know.
How old would they be now?
Well, they're in their 20s, but
Okay.
they've heard about, you know, and they know all my Filipino expat artist friends in New York. They've grown up around them, so it's not like they're out of it, you
Do
know.
they follow in your footsteps? Are they very artistic? as
They're
well?
very artistic, but no, they don't want to be me. They want to do their own, you know, thing. But they're great readers. They can talk about it. They've seen me do, but they have their own path, you know. But I would love them to meet people here and see what the countryside is about. You know, I think they blow their minds, you know. So it's hard, though,
I'm sure.
you know, because to arrange that is so tough.
Jessica, one more thing pala, one other question, a very common one raised when your name comes up. You know how Filipinos are trying to trace the genealogy. Are you related to the guy who tried to run for the Senate, Ed Hagedorn?
Oh no, we're going
I
back to
certainly
politics.
hope so. I think he's done good stuff for Palawan, right?
It is said, yes.
In a sense. I mean, I don't know him. I've never met him. Of course, that question always comes up, especially at the airport.
Yeah, yeah. Because Hagedorn is not a very common Filipino name. Yeah.
Right, and it's not a Filipino last name. It's German Spanish, right?
Yes,
But it's been here a long time. I
Yes,
mean,
yeah.
my father was born here, and his side of the Hagedorns, that lineage, they're here in Manila, or they died here. Their kids are here. You know, all my nieces and nephews are still here. But the Palawan Hagedorn, that was a big surprise to me when he became known. You know, and I was giving a reading once. It was a book event in Berkeley at a bookstore. It was either Dream Jungle or something, and I was signing books, and this lady's in line. She's Pinay, I could see it, with her son. And she walked up, it was her turn, and she said, you know, I believe we are related. And I said, oh, what's your name? She was his sister. And she said to me, I said, well, you know, how do we connect? You know, I'm really curious, you know. And she said, oh, I am too. I don't know, but I know we are. With that name, please. So I just say yes.
Yeah. My younger brother's best friend is actually named Hagedorn.
He's
Yeah.
well,
Probably.
if they're from Manila, that's my grandnephew or something. No, we're all related in Manila. That is
I'm
no
sure.
question, please, yeah.
Oh, we're down to the last
well,
minute.
just two more suggestions. Puerto Princesa Noir and Alabang Noir.
Why Alabang? Nobody wrote anything about Alabang.
Muntinlupa.
Oh, no, Muntinlupa,
A
Noir.
city.
Pwede.
Has to be a city.
Yeah.
Including the market.
Muntinlupa Noir.
Zapote Noir. Oh, we've run out of time.
We have
Fascinating
run out of time.
conversation we've had.
Thank you so
Flies
much,
so
Jessica.
quickly,
You're
yeah.
definitely,
It was my
undoubtedly one of
pleasure.
our most interesting guests.
Well, it's a great
ever.
way to leave town, right?
Okay, thanks
Amen,
a lot,
amen.
Jessica.
Don't forget to
Thank
grab
you,
your
Chris.
Wish
copy
you
of
well,
Manila
more
Noir.
power. Despite what happened to Mr. Zimmerman, I'm sure you'll be happy to be back in your home base of New York
I love
City.
New York. Yes. Yes.
We wish you a
Thank you
safe
again,
trip.
Our yeah.
Thank you.
And thanks for giving
Thank
Manila,
you to our viewers.
Manila
Tune
Noir.
in again next Tuesday to Illuminati with Crypt and Tricks. Bye-bye.